So thank you, Mark, for being sitting and being interviewed by us today. We're excited to have you and especially appreciative of you trusting us so long ago. I know you wrote to us a long time ago when we were first starting, so I appreciate you trusting us. So thanks so much for getting here today. I can't wait to hear about your story.
Yes, thank you. I really appreciate it. I'm very honored. Yeah, so I got to San Quentin back in December of 2012, and I paroled from there in June of 2020.
Gotcha. And how was it when you first found out that you were going to be released?
I was just beyond words. I couldn't believe it. I had been dreaming about it, for all those decades that I was incarcerated, and I never thought the day would come, but at the same time, I believed it would happen. So I had kind of mixed emotions. I had always believed in my heart that I would eventually get released, but I just couldn't like see that end. It's something that myself and so many other lifers dreamed, for so many years that, will we ever make it out alive?
Yeah. So that was what year?
2020, June.
So it's been a hot second since you've been out.
Yeah, sure has.
And how'd that transition go immediately when you were released?
It's my mom came and picked me up. My dad was down here in Southern California, so my mom actually drove all the way up to San Quentin from Long Beach, and it was just so awesome to see her out at the gate. I remember going through the van, uh, or being driven by the van, and had one other guy in there with me that I knew from. We were on the San Quentin baseball team together, and him and I both were being released at the same time. And he was also a fellow three striker. And I remember getting down to, I'm trying to think of what gate it was, but my mom was waiting right there, and I just like looked at her, and I could tell how nervous and excited she was at the same time, and I had butterflies in my stomach, and I remember jumping out of the van, and uh, I had my box of property with me, and my mom ran up to me, and I ran up to her, and it was just like an embrace that, wow, it was powerful. It was really, really something because I hadn't seen my family in a long time, and being able to hug my mom and you know be able to come back to her after all these years, wow, that was really, really awesome, and uh, we ended up going. We left there, and I just looked behind me and I saw San Quentin in the background, and I just kept looking at it and just like, wow, I can't believe I'm leaving that place. And we ended up going to some kind of a burger joint not too far from the prison, and I could actually see. I think it was either South Block or West Block. I could see it from off into the distance, and I was sitting there eating that burger and drinking the soda and eating all that delicious food for the first time in so many years, and just taking everything all in, and I'm right there with my mom. We're just enjoying a meal together for the first time in, 23 years. So,
My God, it's just surreal to imagine that you're looking back at your whole life for so many years inside, right? And there you are outside of it.
right. Yeah, it was awesome. It was a great experience. Something I'll never ever forget.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
bet. So where did you parole to?
So I ended up rolling back home to Long Beach. But before I was able to do that, I had to go to a transitional house that I had picked, which is required by the parole board. You have to find at least two places to go to transition to for 6 months. So I ended up going to Reseda, California.
Mhm.
Yeah. So that's where I went first. Met a lot of great guys there
Yeah.
that were in the same position I was.
Yeah. And did you get along with them all?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I'd say for the most part, yeah, we all got along pretty good. I ended up meeting a guy named Terry, who had did about the same amount of time I did, and he had gotten there just maybe about a month or two before I did. So we
You were
just,
so lucky to get out though before COVID really hit inside because that was absolute disaster.
yeah. Oh my goodness, I heard what happened in San Quentin, and I was just like, wow. I mean, I couldn't believe how many people had gotten sick and how many inmates had died,
Yeah.
including a staff member that I actually knew was a
Oh,
sergeant.
yeah.
Yeah, I knew his nephew. I used to work for his nephew,
Yeah.
and I was like, whoa, I couldn't believe he was gone. I mean, it was really sad. And I was so grateful to God. I felt so bad for everybody in there, but I was just so grateful that I was able to make it out because, I mean, I ended up getting COVID later on, out here, but who knows, being in, close quarters like that with everybody. Um, I just felt
No,
so relieved.
yeah, they're like in their cell for like 18 months,
Yeah,
hour a day tops, if that. Oh,
yeah.
so awful. All right, so here you are in your transitional house, you're there. So were you in that first one for 6 months?
I was actually there for about close to 3 months. They ended up shutting the program down. I couldn't remember exactly what the reason was, but they ended up splitting all of us up, which was really sad. I was at work at the time, and then all of a sudden one day, one of the sponsors, who was also a formerly incarcerated inmate, had called me and said, "Hey, Mark, you got to return back to the house immediately." So I'm panicking, like, man, what's going on? Why would they be in such a hurry to get me back to the house? And
Yeah.
he says, "No, just get back to the house. You're cool, but there's something we got to tell you. When you get back to the house, I'll let you know what's going on." So I'm begging him. I'm like, "Please, just tell me what's happening. It's cool. I'll go back. Just kind of give me an idea what's happening." And he says, "Well, they're closing the program down right now. That it's losing its funding." So I ended up getting shipped out that very day. They had to get us all out of there, and they shipped me to Compton. So it actually worked out pretty good. The person running that program, she was great. She was very nice, and I met another group of guys that were pretty cool guys, and so I was able to come home every day, and just had to make sure I was back by midnight.
Oh, nice. And by home, you mean your parents' house?
Yeah, parents' house, exactly. And I was finally able to see my dad for the first time, able to
Mhm.
come home, and it was so awesome to be able to see him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
nice. That's it's so heartwarming to hear that.
yeah,
Yeah, all those years away from them both. Uh,
yeah,
all right, so what happens next? You've got a job, you're working, you're riding your bike, you've seen your parents.
yeah. So I'm back home now in December of 2020 is when I came back home.
Mhm.
I'm trying to keep myself busy and helping my parents, and then unfortunately I end up having a setback, in
Sure.
2023. I end up getting arrested um, after, all that time that I had done already. And oh, wow, that was devastating. It was January 2023.
PTSD along with all that.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, that was really scary. That was probably more of an impact on my life than the previous arrest, even though the previous arrest resulted in a life sentence. But being that I'm older now, uh, I think it really did something to me. It really shook me to the core when the FBI showed up at my house.
Oh,
Yeah, that was
harsh.
really scary. Yeah,
Wow.
it all just hit me so quick. It's like, what was I thinking? I mean, after all that I've been through, after all that I put my family through and my community, and it's like it was a real slap in the face to everybody that supported me and loved me. Um, and I just felt so bad, for uh, putting myself in this position again.
Oh my God, how scary. So do you want to go more into detail on the arrest or what you were thinking or how you got there? I don't want to obviously push you on anything you're not comfortable with, but
Oh yeah, that's fine.
logically,
Yeah,
what path you went down.
yeah, that's something I would like to explain if I could. So, um, around 2000, I guess maybe 2021, 2022, somewhere around there, I had went online, and I had never seen the internet before. So I had never been on the internet. I never had a cell phone. And so all this stuff was new to me. And I was just like totally, captivated by all this new technology. So I'm online, I'm searching, I'm just looking up anything and everything you could think of just because I haven't seen anything before. All of a sudden, I don't know how I came across it, but I came across lasers, and laser pointers. I end up purchasing one, and so I get a hold of it, and I'm, in my backyard just kind of exploring. So I'm just out shining it in the clouds, and just like totally amazed by the power this thing has. And it's like, whoa, you know. And then, well, I end up striking a police helicopter from
What
several
a
miles
thought.
away. Yeah, and I was like,
What?
oh man.
I interrupted you. Sorry. So you what?
Yeah, I ended up hitting a police helicopter with it. And I didn't know it was the police helicopter until later on, because I had hit it again. There was two different incidents, and I was like, oh man. I said, oh my God, I'm in trouble. And I didn't realize, you know, at the time, I wasn't trying to hurt anybody. And I'm definitely not trying to deflect my responsibility, but I had told them, I said, I swear I was not trying to hurt anybody. I said, it was strictly out of curiosity. When I was in jail, I was only in jail for 62 days. And I just prayed and I prayed and I prayed and I said, God, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for what's happened here, for what I have done. Not realizing that I was putting these pilots in harm's way. I didn't realize that my actions from having this laser was causing harm. And
Yeah.
I'm just so grateful that nothing really bad happened as a result of, my actions. And I just felt so terrible. I mean, just felt like I just betrayed so many people, for doing this.
Yeah.
And after this arrest happened, um, it just really woke me up. I mean, I was 46 years old when this happened, and now I'm almost 49. So I'm just, thinking about my future, thinking about, the choices that I make. I, you know, when I got out, these are like things that people really need to look out for. Is I didn't take my freedom seriously. I was, you know, really, arrogant in how I approached appreciating what I got back.
Well, it's
And
so great that you can see that now. That's wonderful. Does this crime correlate with your first one?
um, in a way it does, in a way it doesn't, because the first crime was for arson,
Hmm.
and so the last one was kind of similar in a way because like even though I was just like playing with the laser, it was like a thing that I like to do a lot, and so it was just like it was just like I could just see it now. It was like I was so bored with my life. I really hated the the person that I was at the time
Hmm.
because I wasn't doing anything with my life. And the fact that I wasn't taking life seriously, taking my freedom seriously, my family, my community. Um, I'm so glad I'm able to share this with you today and with everybody out there because I want people to know that, when you have too much time on your hands, that's usually when bad things happen.
Yeah. I hate to hear you be so hard on yourself though, because you have so much against you, right? You've got a felon on your record. When you go to, you've got to write that off anytime you go to find a job, and it's so, so difficult. But I also see, I don't know if this is something that you felt, but other guys that I've known that here they compare themselves to people that are their age but never went to prison and what their life has done, right? So you've got that coupled on it too, and the expectation probably of your parents, as well as the expectations you have in yourself, and then to reoffend like that. So there's so much coming at you. I don't want you to be so hard on yourself, right? It's just so hard to pick yourself up after you've been stamped with being incarcerated that it's hard to move forward. But I would love to hear, what I want to ask you. Take us back to the time when the night that you were arrested, and were your parents there, and what were what is it exactly that you were sentenced for, or what were they arresting you for?
I was in the backyard. It was the night I had my laser. I was shining it. That was the very last um, uh, moment, because I was arrested like literally within 30 minutes or less after I had used the laser.
Hmm.
I hear my mom yell from the front of the house, "Oh my God, they're here. They're here." And I'm like, oh no, you got to be kidding me. And my whole body just goes numb. My heart's in my throat. And I knew I was done. I go, oh my God, you just made the biggest mistake of your life. Uh, worst decision ever, besides what happened in the past. I mean, this is like, I mean, really, really horrible. So I go through the back door into my bedroom. My mom is at the front door. I can hear her talking to somebody, but I can't hear who exactly she's talking to. But I knew in my mind, I said, that's got to be the police. So I hear the police order my mom out the front door. They tell her to put her hands up. And I'm like, oh my God, my mother. I mean, my mom hasn't done anything wrong. She's innocent, but this is what they got to do. And so my mom comes out the front door at gunpoint, and I immediately surrender. I'm like, I'm not going to run. I'm not going to hide. It's over with. I mean, I made the biggest mistake. I got to deal with this. I got to be a man. I got to be responsible, and it's over. And I come out with my hands up immediately. They tell me to lift my shirt. They put my mom off to the side. They have somebody console my mom. One of the officers that's there. There must have been about at least a dozen police officers, and the helicopter that I was accused of shining the laser at, he was right on top of the house with his searchlight.
Oh my God.
And there was at least two officers with guns drawn on me. I had my hands up immediately. They told me to turn around, lift my shirt. They want to make sure I wasn't armed.
Yeah.
And my heart is beating so fast. And I comply with them, and they take me into custody. They put me in a patrol vehicle just across the street. And I mean, just a wave of emotions ran over me. I was just praying. I was telling God how sorry I was for this happening. And the most embarrassing, most shameful part is watching my mom, through the back of the police unit, and seeing the very, grave concern on her face. And I know that this is very devastating for her. And my dad's in the bedroom, by the way, while all this is going on, because he has trouble walking. So he's in the bedroom, not knowing what's really going on. And so the officer gets me out of the back of the vehicle, takes me over to the garage by the side of the house, and then takes the handcuffs off me. And the two FBI agents introduces themselves, and they say, we're the lead investigators in this. This is now an FBI matter. And I'm like, oh my God. So I talked to the FBI for a little while, and they said, look, we're here for the laser. The judge signed off on the search warrant. He wants the laser. He goes, that's why we're here. And I'm thinking, at first I'm really hesitant. I don't want to do it. I don't want to give it to him, but I thought about it. I says, you know what? This is really disrespectful to my family. There were so many police officers in our house searching the whole house. And they were like, look, Mark, we don't want to tear up your mom and dad's house. We don't want to have to go through everything. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? I got to do this for my parents. I got to do this for myself too. We got to just put this to an end. It's over. I'm done, and I need to just take responsibility, and let's move forward. So I told them, okay, look, here's where the laser is, and it's in my room. It's in the closet, and that's all I have. It's just the one laser. So they ended up arresting me for discharging a laser at an aircraft. It was 2 counts. Long Beach had initially arrested me for it, and then they end up turning it over to the FBI. They arrest me. I end up getting a parole violation. Really, really grateful, because for the most part, parole violations, for a lifer is really bad.
Yeah.
And they end up usually having to go back to San Quentin.
Yeah. Get new life again and have
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was praying and just asking God for mercy and say, look, I am very sorry for this. This is something I definitely will never allow to happen ever again in my life, because this really scared me to death. I mean, it really, really scared me this time. And I am so grateful. I got 160, it was 160 days with half is what they did when I got out. And I ended up getting out early. My dad suggested, and I'm glad I listened to him. He said, Mark, look, it'd probably be a really good idea if you call the FBI and tell them that you got out, because the FBI had actually came to see me at the county jail. They interviewed me to let me know, hey, just so you know, we're taking over. We're going to be arresting you when you're released from this parole violation, and we're actually going to come and pick you up. And I was like, oh man, I thought I was going to get out. I thought I was going to be released and get out. Well, as it turns out, I end up getting out and they didn't come and pick me up. And part of me was thinking maybe they didn't know that I got out early and they just thought that I was supposed to initially get released on April 1st,
Mhm.
2023. I ended up getting out like March 20, I think it was March 21st or March 22nd.
Yeah.
So my dad suggested when they came to pick me up at the county jail, you need to call them and let them know because you want to show that you're, you know, trying to
Ending.
be a good, yeah, trying to be a good citizen, trying to be responsible, even though you messed up.
Mhm.
And that was actually a really good idea because when I did, the agent that had initially arrested me, he was
Mhm.
shocked. He couldn't believe it. He goes, "Oh my God." He goes, "Hey, what's going on, Mark?" And he goes, "I just wanted to let you know that I got released." And he goes, "Really?" He goes, "Wow." He goes, "We had you down for April 1st." I go, "Yeah, the county jail's overcrowded. They let me go early." And I said, "Should I turn myself in now?" And he goes, "You know what? Because of you being so honest and coming forward like this and calling us," he goes, "You know what? You can go home to your family, and we'll be in touch." And I was like, and then I ended up getting a lawyer appointed to me, of course. But before that, actually, I got a chance to talk to him and uh, going through all this, these things with the FBI.
Mhm.
The FBI had notified me and let me know. He said, "Look, we want you to turn yourself in on such and such date. If you fail to do that, it's not good for you, Mark." He goes, "Please make sure you're there to turn yourself in." And not only did I turn myself in, but I came early. So, and again, they were very professional. They were very good to my parents. They said, "Don't worry, everything's going to be fine. He's cooperating, with us, as far as, I turned myself in, I gave him the laser. I just wanted to show that, hey, look, I messed up, but here I am to turn my life around."
Oh, yeah. So
Yeah.
what's the next steps then?
So yeah, so then basically what happens is the FBI didn't promise me anything. They just said, "Look, um, you're probably going to be able to get a bond." And I'm like thinking, oh, I thought I was going to go to jail and stay in the federal facility throughout the entire process, the whole case. But they said, no, you've been, the fact that you turned yourself in, the fact that you cooperated with us by giving us the laser and I know you got your parents there at home and they're elderly and everything. And uh, we're going to be cool with you getting a bond. And then we'll just see what happens, see what the judge does.
So
So,
what sentence now?
basically, what I'm looking at, a statutory maximum of these charges is 10 years. So, I had a interview with the probation department,
Mhm.
and they are, believe it or not, I was surprised, but they're only asking for a range of 27 to 33 months.
Mhm.
All these thoughts are running through my head. Where am I going? Is there going to be a lot of violence there? Which facility? How close am I going to be to home, or how far away am I going to be, from home? Because I could go all the way to New York. I mean, they could ship me all the way to New York. They could ship me to Florida. There's probably even, I mean, I don't know if there is, but I was just saying to myself, they probably even have a prison in Alaska. I
Yeah.
mean, it's just, it's horrible because my parents are 74 and 75 years old now, and this is really devastating.
Yeah.
Um, if I was on my own,
The first time, right? With the 23 years inside and the
yeah,
jail sentence before that and the trial. So,
yeah,
yeah.
it's scary. It really is. I've lost a lot of sleep over it. I've had a lot of anxiety over this. I try to keep myself occupied. There is a lot of things that I can do out here, and I've been wanting to do things with my mom and dad because I don't know. God forbid, I don't know if something, God forbid, something happens to them while if I have to go away. I mean, I want to spend as much time with them as I can. The thought process, my actions, how I deal with things in the future when I get bored again or when I get lonely, because that's what a lot of this um, you know comes back to with this behavior that I just that I did. Um, there was a lot of loneliness, a lot of depression, boredom, curiosity. I mean, there's a list of things that I was, experiencing that led up to me buying the laser. So it's like when I got out during COVID, to go back a little bit, I felt like I was in a bubble. I mean, I felt like I was watching life pass me by. I was like literally living my life through other people and going, man, I wish that was me. That guy has a girlfriend, or that guy has a wife. He has kids. I don't have that. I don't have a wife. I don't have kids. And so I felt so lonely. I felt so isolated, even though I'm out here. But I just, like, I didn't contact a lot of my friends. I mean, a lot of my friends have moved on, or they have their own families. They live in other states now. Two of my childhood friends died when I got out, so I never got to see them again. Yeah, it was really something. So I had all this going through my head, and when I bought that laser, it's like it gave me something to do. It distracted me from my reality. So I started really hating myself for, after all those years in prison. And when I get out, I had plans. I had parole plans. I should have followed through with those parole plans. I promised the parole board, this is what I'm going to do when I get out. And I feel so bad because they put their neck out there for me. They both, came together and said that we feel like you should be released, that you have met all the criteria. And I look back on it now and I'm like, man, I let them down. I let my family down. I let myself down, my community. There's so many people that I hurt, and I just feel so bad about, what I've done.
Mm.
And
That's a
so,
lot. That's a lot to stomach. So what have you learned about yourself now, and what can you put into play to stop you from doing something similar?
I've been thinking about, what all led up to this, and there's just there's so many things that I've learned about myself through this process of, putting myself in this position again, where I start really thinking about the consequences of my actions. I really can envision, like, if I do this, this is what's going to be the result of my actions. So I'm able to literally sit back and think, visualize, if I commit a crime, this is what's going to happen. This is what could happen. And so it really makes me, think twice about, you know, doing something illegal is going to result in a really bad negative, you know, outcome. And so I'm getting help too. So I'm seeing a therapist. So that's been, something that I've been able to help me to understand myself, understand what's going on with me, why I think this way, why I, you know, put myself in these kind of positions. The therapy, it's every 2 weeks. I'd prefer like once a week if I could, but
Yeah, it's expensive.
it's been very beneficial. And I'm even taking medication, which is something I really was against. I really didn't want to get um, on medication because I felt like I could do this myself. But in reality, um, I couldn't do this alone. And that's one of the things I've learned about myself in this situation. I couldn't do this alone. I do need the help. I do need intervention to help me to get myself back on the right track. Because so that's one thing that I've definitely learned about myself is I've had to swallow my pride and I've had to reach out for help.
Yeah, you're walking right into what I wanted to ask you next about advice that you'd have for people. Like, what message would you want to share with other people who may be facing your similar situation or challenges?
I would like to tell them that to not be ashamed of, reaching out for help, to really, you know, put everything aside, pride, ego, things like that, things that are going to cause us, and myself included, from doing the right thing, from reaching out for help. That's the first step.
If you could go back, I don't know what point in time to have you go back to, but if you could go back and give your own self advice, what would you have said?
I would have said, Mark, you're on a path of self-destructive behavior, and you need to get it together. And you really need to start liking yourself and start accepting yourself for who you are. And don't be ashamed of who you are. Um, be yourself. Don't try to be somebody else, but you have to love yourself before you can love somebody else.
Yeah, I hear that so often from people that I talk to that are currently incarcerated, going through all the programs you're talking about, or previously incarcerated, just the depth of really that. But it's an easy couple words, I think, that we, a couple sentences that we share. But when you really have to look at loving yourself, that means you've got to look at all the things you hate about yourself and why. And that is not
Right.
easy.
Yeah, it really isn't. I
How do
do
you
this.
go into that? Why do I hate myself for that? Why do I feel like I am? I mean, that's work, but hopefully you've been able to pull off some of those information and things that were given to you while you're in prison and all those programs, right?
Right.
Put them into practice.
Yeah, exactly. That's another thing I would love to share with everyone out there is the programs that I took, the programs that maybe, they're going to be involved with, whether it be during incarceration or out here in the free world, really need to take the program seriously. You're not alone in this. So if you feel like you're alone in this uh, situation that you find yourself in, you're really not. And there's a lot of us out here struggling. There's a lot of us out here going through different, situations. Um, and basically, if you start having thoughts, of, reoffending, committing a crime, that's right then and there is when that's where intervention needs to happen. That's where the person needs to really, like myself, come forward, talk to a family member, talk to a friend, reach out. That's what the accountability list is for. The very first thing is they need to admit that they're having this problem. They need to call on somebody right away, even if it's their probation officer or parole officer. They're there to help.
Yeah. I love that you said use that list and call people and don't feel alone. I mean, regardless you're incarcerated or not, right? Reach
Right,
out to the people. We need each other. We need connections. That's the, biggest deficit for me that crawled out of COVID, right? It stuck all of us into a place where it wasn't always positive, and it
right.
proved to us that we need that.
Hmm. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what I'm working on right now. I'm working on a new relapse prevention plan. And this
Yeah.
time I'm actually going to stick to it.
Is there a moment when you felt that shift in your mindset from maybe, no, I wouldn't say like there was a shift in your mindset from when you didn't like to yourself to trying to love yourself again?
Yeah, it's been slow going, but it's like, yeah, I'm really starting to, appreciate myself for who I am. I look around sometimes and I see people in a lot worse situations than I am, with people with physical disabilities or mental disabilities, and I just started thinking, man, I need to be grateful. I need to be really grateful for what I have. I have my health. I I'm able to do things that other people can't do. And so I really need to, think about that. And when I see somebody else that's unfortunately worse off than I am, and I see they're going, I see they keep going every day. They don't give up. And if they don't give up, then I shouldn't give up. And I really should love myself. I really should appreciate myself. And so it's been a very slow process because I've been like this most of my life, where I didn't like who I was, you
Yeah.
know. But I know that I can make my life better. I just need to, surround myself with good people, positive people. I do go to church, so I'm really trying that again and trying a different approach and be more spiritual and trying to really appreciate myself slowly over time. Just say, look, Mark, this is what God gave you. Just go with it.
Yeah.
That this is who you are. This is what you look like. Just to appreciate what you have. I'm really grateful to be so active at 48. I mean, I feel great,
Mm.
and so that's what I'm trying to learn about myself. Just accept who I am. Be
Yeah.
be
Some
okay with it.
Yeah, I can feel you're being grateful already. Seems like you have so many good things, right? It's
Yeah,
you're with your parents, you're with your family, you got a home, right?
yeah,
All
right.
that stuff. Um, I'll see Michael Moore here in about an hour. Is there anything you want me to share with them?
Yeah, I just want to tell, Michael Moore is a truly inspirational person. Been a great friend. I've known him since I think, gosh, 2003. So we've known each other for a long time. We've been through a lot together. He's a good man. He really deserves to be out here.
Yeah.
I know I've seen the changes in him. He's always been there for me. He was a great cellie, one of the best cellies I ever had. I've had a few really good close cellies, and he's one of them. And I see the change in him, and I just want to say how much I appreciate what he has done. He made all this happen right here for us with this interview today. So I'm really happy that that we continue to correspond and talk to one another and share ideas. And I know he's like somebody that can hold me accountable. So I know that that's somebody I can definitely turn to when I'm feeling down or even just when I'm feeling good. And he can do the same with me. I'm always going to be there for him too. And I can't wait for him to get out. He definitely deserves another chance because
Yeah,
he's really put in the work.
I know. He's really done. He's done
Yeah,
it. I agree. Yeah,
yeah,
I appreciate him a ton.
yeah.
Well,
He really loves you guys too. He really appreciates you guys. He talks about you guys, and he's really happy to be a part of the program. He
yeah,
really is.
a light for us. He's so great.
Yeah.
Is there anything that I didn't ask or anything that else you want to share?
Gosh, I know I've said a lot here. I've been
Uh,
kind of all over the place, but
no, we can piece it. We can obviously edit it together here and there. But
yeah,
no, you're really thorough. Like I really get you're really good at communicating where you are, where you've been, how you feel today. So yeah, the more words is always better. So no, I definitely get the vibe on where you are.
okay, great. Yeah, I'm just so really grateful to be where I am today. And I do want to say how much I truly regret my actions for this last incident to all the members of the community, and to the pilots, that represent our community, that keep our community safe. I'm just truly sorry for what I put them through. And I know that I really you know made an impact on their life, unfortunately, in a negative way. But I just, I wanted to tell them, because I haven't been able to say anything to them. And I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to say something to them. I hope I can at some point. But, to just tell them, hey, I'm really sorry for what I put you through, and for, you know, making their job harder than it already is. They're out here every day keeping our community safe. They're constantly flying around out here, even though I know a lot of people complain. I'm tired of hearing the helicopter. I'm tired of hearing the noise, but it is what it is. Long Beach is really a rough city right now,
Yeah,
and the surrounding communities. There's a lot of crime out here. And
yeah,
so now I'm starting to finally appreciate, the side of law enforcement, because I was always taught to not respect law enforcement because of where I was, being incarcerated. And well, no, we really got to appreciate these people, because without them, this whole world would be crazy. It would just be out of control. So I have to show them respect. I mean, they're just doing their job, and I got to do my part, and just be a citizen, be a good person, pay my taxes, and stop breaking the law.
yeah, exactly. Well, you've definitely shown your remorse. Well, I thank you so much, Mark, for sitting down with us today. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you too, Diana, and thank you so much for this time.
Sure, and I would love to hear from you with what goes on in your future. God forbid that you are
Yeah,
again, but if you are, even if you're not, I'd love for you to keep us updated.
I sure will. I definitely will.
All
I
right.
hope and pray everything does work out. I know regardless of what happens to me, I'm going to be all right. I'm going to make it through this, and I'm going to better my life. I'm going to live the best life that I can.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. All right. Well, great. Good luck and give your both your mom and dad a hug for me.
I sure will. Thank you so much.